Brings the pressure, he brings the pain. And that is a 3-bet from Hideki Takafuji. Re-raises to 18,000, a full 3x 3-bet. Folded around to the blinds. Kitai in the small, mucks. Lunda in the big, also folds. So it's back on Patrick, and he quickly folds. Well, he's been a poker commentator for many years, but he could be about to turn pro. Joe Stapleton is back in the booth, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, my babies. When I win this thing, I'm leaving you all in the dust.
What does first place pay?
$99.16. That is retirement money if I've ever heard it.
And just to be clear, ladies and gentlemen, he does not get to keep his own bounty. It would simply roll over to tomorrow.
What? What am I trying so hard for, then? I don't understand. What incentive do I have to play hard if I don't get to keep my own bounty?
It might give you some credibility.
I haven't had credibility. What do I need it now for? Doing fine without it.
The future, Joe. You've got to think about the future.
I will say it's somewhat annoying playing a Zoom tournament. Like if you have to do anything else on your computer and you're like in the middle of typing a word, up, fold, up, fold. So what have I been missing here? Give me a quick, give me 3 things that happened.
Okay, so James Mitchell arrived at the table and got involved in a huge confrontation with Davide Kitai, which saw the Belgian double up and saw Mitchell crippled.
I'm going to count that as one thing.
Okay. The other thing is that Patrick Antonius is now tournament chip leader and has basically just been bullying the rest of the table.
That's an awesome thing. I'm glad I'm back for that.
How much?
And really, we have seen a lot of eliminations from the outer tables. And you can see that we're already down to 150. That means the bubble is looming, so we have activated the hole poke.
Excellent. Kiss the ring. I miss Neil J. Poker. I feel like I haven't seen him in a long time.
So Kitai opens with a raise hit at 100,000. Yeah.
He knows it's a little silly.
Well, it's really putting the players in the blinds all in. He was on the button there, and he's got Lunda and Lamb, 2 of the short stacks of the table, with fewer than 20 big blinds each. So I guess he's just putting the pressure on those guys.
Yes, I have it. One.
Pressure time.
Yeah, sorry. Already?
Coloring up some of Patrick's chips right now.
Excuse me, Flora, I have too many chips.
What do you need? Okay, yeah.
Do you know that in every online tournament I have ever played, I've never made it to the color up?
So hold on, what do you need?
Not one time.
Maybe today will be the first day, Joe.
Hopefully, I'm waiting. When do they do it?
They normally do it during the 5-minute break, but most people leave.
Oh, yeah.
They take their eyes off their screen at that point.
Yeah, I go to the bathroom and stuff. The one time, I know I'm going to dine out on this story for years. The one time I played the Sundays with Kevin McPhee and Tim Riley and Liv, it is unbelievable how much stuff gets done in that 5-minute break. Tea gets made, food gets made, things get smoked. I mean, it is a long fight. They make use of that 5 minutes.
Yeah, reminder that there is another bounty bonus tournament tomorrow. Meanwhile, there is still time to get into today's PokerStars TV free roll, our traditional free roll, taking place at 9:15 local time. The password for the free roll is on the screen right now. Let's have a quick check on the lobby, shall we? Roughly half the seats have gone. Nearly 17,000 people have registered for today's free roll. It will max out at 30,000 players. $2,000 in the prize pool to share amongst the top finishers. That hand was raised and take it for Kitai.
I had to make a massive laydown in this tournament. I think I took a screenshot of it somewhere. I had 9 of spades, and it came 4, 6, 7, 6, 7 of spades. And I bet, and then the guy to my left jammed, and then the guy to his left jammed. And I was like, oh, man, I could be up against bigger spades here sometimes. I think I got to fold. And it was kings versus 2 pairs, so I was definitely behind. But I would have made my flush on the end. Anyway, no sour grapes there. I just...
You can't play results.
Yeah.
Hey, Joe, that was a chop pot. You know what they say?
Everyone loves a chop pot.
We sing it even when we're talking about Joe's Bounty Bonus Tournament rather than the main event. All in at the feature table. James Mitchell shoving under the gun for 31,000.
James, don't call me Jimmy Mitchell. Got to get through the whole table. 1 down.
Katai's out. Lunda also passes. Everyone gives it up. The shove gets through.
I wonder if I'm still in first place. Let's take a look. Yes, we are. You come at the king, you best not miss. That's what I say, James. We're at the stage of the tournament, even though it's Zoom, you end up playing with the same players pretty regularly.
And obviously at one point when the field gets very small, the tables will become fixed and the Zoom element will disappear.
I guess there's no point if you're just jumping back and forth between like 2 or 3 tables.
I think ultimately you'd just be waiting too long to play a hand.
Yeah.
The whole idea of Zoom is you're always in action. Well, if there's too few players in the tournament, you're not going to be in action.
Right.
I've heard the words all in. It's Graziano shoving here. Super short, just 18K. Round to Benoit Lamb. He folds. Antonius is out. And both blinds
I picked a good blind to go all in on.
also pass.
I can't believe there's another Ben Lamb.
Okay, watch the bubble on the screen, the 144, because I'm going to tell you that with this man's elimination, Patrick to catch, we are down to 149. And we have gone red. We are on full bubble alert. Our world famous bubble coverage starts now.
Wow. Just in time. I'm back for bubble coverage. Cashing in Monaco. Big deal. A lot of overhead involved in this tournament, so a min cash is going to mean quite a bit, especially lots of people qualified.
Yeah, we had close to 200 qualifiers in this tournament. And a min cash is worth 7,580 euros. An amazing return on investment, especially if you were a spin and go qualifier in for just 10 euros.
Oh, hell yeah. Part of the reason why, James, by the way, when we were shooting the PokerStars Cash Challenge, that I wasn't embedded watching things with you was because I don't really want to know the results because you know me.
That is true, actually.
And you know how likely I am to say something stupid. I got to wait until January, probably, at least. Action on the last man on earth, the year of Romania.
Antonius raised to 7,000. And it's a call from Papazian in the big blind. It's a Jack 8-4 flop.
He's got enough chips he can call. It doesn't look like that many in front of him, but I guess that's because of the color up.
Check, check on the flop. 3 on the turn.
Papazian going toe-to-toe with Antonius. Betting into him, getting a fold.
So Papazian wins that with a bet on the turn. His stack hovering around the 143k mark, around the tournament average.
It's on my card, yeah.
We're still at 149 players, but we have kicked off our world-famous bubble coverage because we are closing in on the magic moment when we go hand for hand. That'll be at 144. Down to 143, we will be in the money. And to join us for that section of the tournament, a very interesting, fun and dramatic part of the PokerStars Championship Monte Carlo main event, we are joined by our head of live poker operations, Neil Johnson. And Neil, I ask this question in all sincerity, not in the classic English way where I don't actually want the answer. How are you?
I'm doing better, healing up. I'm at like 80–85%, and I want to thank both of you guys and a lot of the people who found me on Twitter and stuff and wished me well while you guys were also wishing me well during Panama. So thank you guys very much.
How many
healing
of your
up.
organs were removed?
Only one at the end of it, although there was potential for other adjustments.
Can you still have kids after they take one of those, or?
Sadly, no. But that actually, that's a completely separate story. It involves the court system in the U.S. and stuff, and all kinds of rules about why I'm not supposed to.
I got the organ wrong, didn't I?
Entirely possible, yes.
Great to see you back on the circuit, Neil. Great to have you here in Monte Carlo, the first European stop of the PokerStars Championship, but obviously one of our regular haunts now that the EPT has transitioned into this global tour. Great to be back here in Monte Carlo. And 1 year on, I believe Jan Bendik is still alive and defending his title.
Yeah, I've been watching a little bit today. I didn't get to see much of what was going on yesterday. I saw you guys playing around in the cash games, of course, up there. But I've been listening for the last hour and a half while I was having dinner to Randy, giving us some really good feedback. It looks like the event's going really well. We've got Patrick up there, and I always like coming to Monaco. This is my 14th trip. It's my 12th trip with Stars. Or actually 15th or 16th trip, a 12th trip with Stars.
Jeez.
And we love coming here. This was the EPT Grand Final for so long.
Of course.
It's an incredible popular destination, and it's beautiful outside as well. It's a little chilly, but gorgeous.
You know what I say, Neil? Now they're all Grand Finals. Literally never said that till right now.
Well, I've just heard that the tournament clock is ticking down once again from 149 to 148. And that means we're going to pause the clock because Thomas Lamache, the tournament director, is going to make a very important announcement to the tournament.
Okay, attention, our PokerStars Champion mini event. We are now 5 seats away from our bubble. So advise now, the staff and all the dealers, please announce loud and clear every all-in and a call. So advice for the staff in the PokerStars Championship main event. From now on, please announce every all-in and a call. Thank you.
And on we play. So not going hand for hand yet, Neil. That will happen when we get down to 144.
Yeah, we just got to make sure that we don't miss anybody, and we also have to make sure that your guys' camera crews hear the shout, and we don't miss any exciting triangles of death moments.
Now, of course, for the last, I want to say 2 years, and it is 2 years. It literally is 24 months. We have just been live streaming bubbles in main events. And of course, now we are back to making multi-day tournament coverage for TV. So there will be a highlight show made out of today's action. So yes, very important those cameras are there for the big moment.
It can't be like, we didn't get it, guys. We missed it.
That's all right. We'll get it in Barcelona. It'll be fine. We'll get it in Sochi, actually.
We'll just take an old Monaco bubble and stick it in there.
Now, I'll be honest, Neil, I felt sorry for you for a multitude of reasons. Obviously, you've just been through a serious illness. You're on the route to recovery, which is great. But also, this seems to be a particularly stressful time for someone in your position.
Ooh, losing them left and right.
Clock ticks down to 147 because obviously with the relaunch of live events, with the new tour, with some new stops, some people have had some choice words to say, and I guess, you know, you guys have to respond to that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always fun and interesting to go to new places. I talked to a number of places number of people who went to Panama because they'd never been to Panama before, and this gave them an opportunity to the expansion, as it were, from the EPT to the PokerStars Championship to head over to Panama, and the same with Macau. Although a lot of the players have actually been to Macau before. There's been a number of huge tournaments there, and a number of card rooms. It's kind of Vegas East. Either that or I think Vegas now is actually Macau West because Macau makes more money. But no, I think they're a lot of fun. I'm unfortunately not going to get to go to Sochi. I was really looking forward to the chance, but not going to be able to make it this trip because of my illness. Same reason I didn't get to go to Macau or Panama. But the players that I've talked to have had a lot of fun. I understand the criticism from some that it feels kind of reduced in Europe, that you're not seeing, when the EPT would have 6 or 7 stops that were here in Europe. We are trying to well, we're always exploring other destinations and other opportunities. It's not these stops are not chiseled in stone, as it were. And I heard you mention earlier the PokerStars festivals, the Mega Stacks now that
Yes.
that apparently Broutner is going to get to play in 2018 at this point in time, unless he wants to go to Belgium. So we are trying to do a lot more. I mean, are they all 5Ks? Well, of course, they're
Go
not
to
5Ks.
Belgium. Sorry, I just got that.
So it's we want to spread around, but we want to try and have stuff for everybody as well.
But just to be clear, Neil, and I think this is a very important part of what you do and what your team do, and of course Edgar, as our director of live events, does, is when Bryn Kenny writes on Facebook, when Jason Wheeler writes on Facebook, when Ludovic Geilich tweets, you listen to that and you respond to that.
Oh, 100%. We were talking to Bryn and Jason, and we're going to be talking to them tonight. Actually, there's a meeting tonight. We're going to be talking to some players, but
By talking to them, he means taking them out back.
Well, you saw Jack Salter's arm, right? That was an altercation in
That's
Macau.
my blog writing arm.
He had a problem with apparently one of the structures, and the guys in Macau, re-educated him as to the proper structures for that
No,
tournament.
we're joking.
Of course, it's a joke. No, you always want to hear that, and that's
You
why
don't want to hear that, but
Well, no, you want the feedback
if people
with-
do feel that way, you want to listen. It's
Yeah,
different.
But if you did an event and there wasn't a single negative piece of feedback that came out of it, would you not wonder if you I mean, somebody's got
not for a second. I would bask in a job well done forever.
Fair enough, but no, I feel that there's always something that can be improved. And Jason White writes, I really enjoy reading Jason's kind of post-trip reports when he comes back from one of our trips. Bryn actually
That one cut deep.
Well, no. Bryn is responsible for a couple of the events that exist on the tour because of his feedback. The single-day high roller is the Bryn Kenny Invitational, essentially. It was his idea. We debuted it in Monaco. I think we'll get a little bit of credit for listening and putting it in, but we were chatting in a high roller in Prague, and he brought it up, and I think Ike was there, and Sorel, and some others, and they were like, yeah, that could be something that could work, and so we decided to give it a shot. Even the change of the payouts, like we talk about the bubble coming up, the bubble in the old days would have been at 144. So we would have had 145 players, a bunch of tables that are 7-handed, a bunch of tables that are 8-handed, playing a little out of balance. We were in Deauville a few years back, and the players were complaining because there was a really long bubble in a turbo that was offset. One table was 7, I think one was 6. And they said, well, why can't the payouts always be even to where every table is balanced? And it's just something that nobody had really explored, but it was 100% a player's idea. We sat around, talked to some more players, said, yeah, this is a great idea, and rewrote the payouts so that they would always be even.
I like how you call it the Bryn Kenny Invitational when the invitation is really just a $25,000 bill. That's all you
Well, no,
need.
to be fair, I think Bryn's won 2 or 3 of them, so it technically is the Bryn Kenny. It's an invitation to give Bryn Kenny money. That's a pretty fair. If you could get an invitation, give Joe Stapleton money into the tour, I think you'd do it yesterday.
I'm calling it the bounty bonus today.
So the key action at this table, and obviously, Neil, I know you've been watching the stream, so you've seen it just like we have. Patrick Antonius pretty much owning everyone, having the chip lead, close to the bubble, just being able to apply that pressure and build that stack.
Oh, how about the Queen's call? I was with you guys as well, trying to figure out what's going on, what do they have, what's the small blind got, and all that. And the 6s I thought was a great move, and the Queens was just a really, really good call. And I saw the hand as well with Davide, and was it Papazian here? No, it was Mitchell.
James Mitchell.
Yeah, the kind of the cooler, turn the flush and the 2-pair.
2-pair against the flush, yeah.
So it's been a really good table, what I've seen of it.
And obviously, we've seen some fun hands at the outer tables as well. A reminder that outer table coverage is available via the PokerStarsblog.com. I'm hearing, by the way, that the tournament staff, that Thomas Amash has taken the decision to go hand for hand at 145.
That's possible. It depends. The floor staff are walking around, and they're going to get an idea of what's going on as far as tanking and stalling.
Of course.
And if it's looking like it's going to be, I mean, anybody who plays poker knows that this is where the breaks are coming on, whether you don't want them to or not. It's just everybody slows down here. It's the difference between 0 and 7 or 8K. So if we see that it's egregious, then the TD makes the decision to move hand for hand.
I kind of feel like going hand for hand early is kind of like the poker version of Turbo Boost from Knight Rider. Like at the end of every episode, you know that how are we gonna get out of this? I know, Turbo Boost. And that's what happens. We're like, I know we're going hand for hand early. We're going hand for hand early.
Absolutely. It's really the only until the day we end up with shot clocks on everything.
Right.
But okay, we've got actually a raise and a 3-bet. They're actually playing on our
Let's check
bubble.
out this hand.
Yeah, and then we'll talk more about shot clocks. Antonius raised under the gun. Papazian 3-bet to 18,000. And the action is now on Benoit Lamb in the big blind. Starts the hand with just shy of 31,000.
And Antonius and Papazian they've been going back and forth for a large part of today that I was watching anyway.
He's been active, quite active, Papazian. And then Antonius, obviously, once he's got chips, got fairly active himself.
Just watching Stapleton crush people's dreams here in the bounty bonus.
I've had him crush plenty myself. So we saw Lamb make a crazy, not crazy, but a tough laydown with aces on a flop one time. So I wonder what pains him so much pre-flop here. Ace-queen.
Well, and what is it, like, if you're Antonius or Papazian, like, what is his song and dance here telling you? Like, what is it, if and when he does shove, what does this lead you to, Mr. Stapleton, since you're the one still in the...
I'm afraid
I'm the expert.
My theory here is that he might not actually have a hand at all and may just be stalling. I hate to be a cynic, but that is always a possibility.
I didn't want to say it.
I think he's, I don't know, I'm convinced that he has got a decision here.
Okay, let's give him the benefit of the doubt then. 2.5 minutes on this decision.
He's got like 9s or 10s. Oh, hello.
Another elimination from one of the outer tables. We're down to 146.
Sounds like a free game in pinball.
Clock has been called.
Sure.
Fine, TV table, please.
Well, and if he shoves, it's what? It's going to be 15K to Papazian, even if Patrick were to let it go. I find it hard. I find it hard to believe the shove would get through without getting called.
I love Patrick's advice to the dealer. You can see a clock, start counting.
It's not how it works.
That's actually something that's been discussed extensively by TDs, is should the dealer be able to start the clock before the floor gets there, because you get that extra time.
Before they start counting, you're allowed.
All right, so you can have 1 minute to make a decision. You receive a 10-second countdown, and you're going to be dead. Thanks.
Can you imagine now if Lamb folds and Patrick's like, okay, I need to think about this one.
I'm going to need a minute here, guys. Sorry. Time.
whenever I watch televised or webcast streams, I wonder about the people, like the 2 or 3 people in the whole production crew who are allowed to see the whole cards, who like, if he's got 5
you just
deuce
hear
and he's
one-
burning clock.
Yeah, one of the guys in graphics behind the curtain just go, "Come on!"
10, 9,
Oh boy.
What's a legit decision here, do you think?
6.
I think like Ace Jack is a hard decision here. Ace Jack suited. Ace Queen is even a hard decision.
Hand is dead, and Patrick folds. Hand is over.
Once he
Thank you,
folds,
Patrick.
and I think that
Would've been
your
cool if
guy's
you started
theory that
dancing, man.
he's stalling is a little bit more viable. Just seemed believable
I
to
wanna
me.
see that hand.
He's now tweeting his friends, totally just had 5 deuce.
Aces.
That's exactly the same sort of posturing he did when he had aces. I mean, not that it's posturing, I guess the
Hello
same
again.
reaction when he had aces on a flop. Or whenever it was he folded turn, I guess. But there was a board showing, and obviously he's not doing it with aces there. So I just wonder what is such a tough decision.
So we're pretty much 9 months into the new payout structures, Neil, and I finally got used to the bubble hitting on day 2.
Thanks.
It's like having long established that it happens during the second level on day 3. I finally got to grips with the fact now that we're going to get to the end of day 2 and be in the money.
And to be honest, that's usually been the preference, certainly from most pros and even most of the recreational and amateur players that I speak to come back on day 3 and play another hour and a half to 2 hours, still not be in the money, still not have a return on your investment. I mean, you obviously want a good structure and want to have good play in 1A or day 1 and day 2, but getting to that money by the end of day 2 is pretty solidly the preferred choice of at least most players that I've spoken to.
So with 146 remaining, and a reminder that the bubble is at 144, with 143 getting paid. We see Papazian raising to 7,000.
Year of Romania.
So Graziano has 6 bigs. He's passed. Quick fold this time from Lamb. Down to Patrick Antonius in the big blind. And he's going to defend. I said, Neil, that we would talk shot clocks. Let's let this hand play out, and if anything significant happens, we'll pick up the action. But I saw the super high roller here in Monte Carlo was run with a shot clock. There was a little digital display on the table, which the dealer was controlling, and the players seemed to appreciate that. Yeah,
the feedback has been overwhelmingly positive. We gave it a try in the Bahamas, and then slowly expanded it through Panama and Macau with, I think it was a couple of super high rollers or high rollers in Macau. And for Monaco, we wanted to expand it out. And it's every event in Monaco that's 5K and above, with the exception of the main, is running with a shot clock. And we tossed it into, I want to say it's a 300 and a 500 as well, as just like a fun variant to, because you want more feedback than just from the super high rollers. You want to know how everybody feels about it. And so it's, I'd be hard pressed to find somebody who said that they didn't really like it. In the low buy-in tournament, the feedback was a bit closer. We talked to, I think it was like 30 people, and it was like 17 who liked it and 13 who didn't, and that was in a 500 turbo, I believe.
And just to be clear, it's a 30-second clock, but you do have time bank chips.
3 time banks. And
if you need to make a really big decision, how much time are those chips buying you?
It's a one price. So as soon as it moves, as soon as the clock goes over to 31, that entire 30-second chip bank has been used. So if you make your decision at 33, you still lose the time bank chip.
But how much is it, if you play a chip, how much is added to the clock effectively?
A full 30 seconds.
Full 30 seconds,
Yeah,
okay, so.
Sorry. So this was bet and called on the flop, right, from Patrick?
Correct. 9,000 from Patrick on the flop, a bet of 16,000 from Papazian on the turn.
Is that a straighty flushy paired board? Or how do you guys say it? What is it?
That's all James.
You got it, Neil. Spot on. Straighty flushy paired board. Gets checked to showdown. Is an 8 good?
No.
An 8 is not good.
Man, when your 8 gets sucked out on, huh? Jeez.
I love the looks on Patrick's face as he's processing the Queen 9 being turned over on that particular hand.
Quick reminder for those of you who have been playing Scoop Spin and Goes, entering our competition here on PokerStars TV. Please remember to tag your tweet PSC win, not PokerStars TV. Otherwise, they will not be considered for the prize. You may have heard Thomas Lamash there calling for the clock to be paused. I think we've lost another player. Yes, we're down to 145. 2 away from making the money.
I love the graphic. Is the graphic new for Monaco, or did it exist in Macau or Panama? Or I mean, in Panama.
It existed in the Bahamas.
It did.
Yes.
Oh, I think I might have just exposed that I didn't really watch the webcast.
We have
in
not actually had you
Bahamas.
in the booth for some time for our bubble
know.
coverage.
Barcelona, maybe.
Maybe.
Because I wasn't in Prague, so.
Well, let's see the hand which actually led to us getting down to 145 players. Ace Queen against 6-5. Ace Queen, of course, the better hand. Ace Queen, the hand that's at risk.
And I feeling a 5-6 is good.
You know what's going to happen.
I walked in next to this guy today. I'm pretty sure he's going to get sucked out on here. He spent way too much time close to me. Spoke to me and everything. He's in big trouble.
Oh.
That's a 5. That's a disgusting card to see with Ace Queen.
Adi Alcalay is the player who is at risk here with the Ace Queen.
Oh, sweat.
Spade sweat.
Sweat.
And that is the elimination of Adi Alcalay. So reminder, that's the hand that happened a short while ago that saw Alcalay eliminated in 146th place, taking us down to 145. The clock has been paused and we're now just waiting for hands to finish at all the tables in the room. And then, of course, we will get the announcement from Thomas Lamash, who I guess will confirm to players, Neil, how the hand-for-hand process works.
Yeah, each table will play a single hand at Thomas's shuffle up and deal. The reason we do that is because, sorry, I'm jumping ahead a step. We, as soon as there's a called all in, the action is stopped on that table, and until all the play has concluded on all the other tables. And the reason we want to do that is because we don't want people's decisions influenced by whether or not somebody's gone bust, or even knowing that it's, you know, aces against deuce 3 offsuit or something like that can influence the decision that you're going to make. Or you could tank your way into the money kind of thing.
You know what we should do as a competition sometime, James? Is if we had like a viewer, like a super fan come in, and if they can give all of Neil J's answers to the bubble spiel, that they win a prize.
My bubble spiel's gotten shorter and shorter over the years.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're going to find ways to trim out words and just do it as succinctly as possible.
From time to time, we will read tweets from players in the tournament. One of those players is Victoria Corrin Mitchell. She says, we are hand for hand now, 2 off the money. Doing it 1 away from the bubble is new to me, but I have been away a while.
Almost as long as Neil J's been away.
Yeah, I talked to Vicky yesterday, actually, and she was kind of feeling the disconnect of having been out. You know, she's been living a nice, quiet family life away from everything to do with poker and gaming and stuff. So it was, but it's nice to see her back.
You know what she had never heard of? Check raising. Yeah, I told her all about check raising yesterday.
To be fair, I don't think Vicky would ever check raise. Do you really think she would ever check raise?
Not a dirty trick like that, no.
Now, I am hearing that there is an all-in and a call at one of the tables out in the field. Now, obviously, we are waiting for all the other hands to finish before we go to this all-in and call. Paul Heffer is the player who is at risk, and he's been called by Nicky Petrangelo.
The first super fan who can tweet into #PokerStarsTV and tell us why we're waiting for all of the hands to finish before we go to that hand, I will give you a USB stick, a PokerStars USB stick. James will judge your answer as to whether or not you've got it.
I'm glad you clarified, by the way, that it's a PokerStars USB stick. It's not just some random USB
It's
stick
right out of my
that you found in your...
It's from Staples.
Also, the other thing is, if it was one of your random USB sticks, heaven knows what's on it.
Yeah, we're gonna have to wave a very large magnet over that.
Yeah, as someone who actually recently bought USB condoms, because I am the person who is like that paranoid about my electronic data security, you can buy them. They're on Amazon. They're like $10.
I see. They're not for sex. They are for protecting your information.
Yes, it basically only allows it to charge. It doesn't allow data to pass through it. But if you're giving me a USB stick from Joe Stapleton, I'm going to need two.
I mean, did you read that story
Two of
about
those USB
how
condoms.
the Russian spies filled the electronics store near the U.S. embassy, like with spy USB sticks in case they ever bought one and used it there, and that's how they were able to steal information?
That actually sounds like a really, really intelligent way to do
Isn't
it.
that ridiculous?
You would think, I'm not even allowed to, we're not even supposed to plug USB sticks into our PokerStars computers. You would think that like the Democrats and the Republicans would have tighter security than we do, but I guess not.
So Nick Griffith has written in, but he didn't use the hashtag PokerStarsTV. Should we at least read it and see how close he is?
No, because I want someone to actually use the hashtag and stand a chance of winning. If you read that out, someone's just going to cut and paste his answer with the hashtag.
Sorry, Nick.
Quick, tweet it again, Nick, or do you only get one shot? Do you only get one
I'd
chance?
give him a shot to get it with the right hashtag. That's
Okay.
fine. Because technically, we shouldn't have seen that one.
Okay, David Haney has in.
Alfred Green, boom, I want my USB condom. Guess what? Alfred didn't use the hashtag. He used the hashtag condom, unfortunately.
There's an unprotected tweet.
Oh, man, we got another all-in out there, too.
Yes, so just to confirm, pull her for all in, called by Nikki Petrangelo. Also, Maria Ho is all in.
Wow, this would be so sick if she bubbles. She started with 16 big blinds today.
Called by Valdemir Novak. So 2 all-ins, and if we were to see 2 eliminations, we wouldn't need to worry about hand-for-hand play because we get through the bubble and we'd be at 1-4-3.
Well, and poor Maria, like she got into the event late because she was working with us,
Yep,
right?
Now, just to be clear, Neil, should that happen, by the way, and obviously we hope it doesn't, but should Paul and Maria go broke in this hand, what would happen regarding that? No, of course, they both go out with nothing.
It's only because there's only 2 all-ins, right? We don't have a third all-in on any of them.
I don't believe so.
Okay, so yeah, it'd finish 150, 145 and 144, and we would break a table, and everybody out there would clap, well, except for Maria and the other gentleman. I don't remember his name. Paul. So Maria and Paul wouldn't clap, but everybody else would. And I'd go on to my meeting, and you guys would have to soldier on.
Now, David Haney was the first in, and I kind of think that he's got to the point. He's basically said it's so other players don't rank waiting for a bust out, meaning they don't move up the spots, the finishing spots, waiting for a bust out. That's a pretty succinct, spot-on way of saying why it's done,
Let's
right?
give it to him then. PokerStars
Okay, we
USB
are
stick.
2 seats away from the bubble, and we have the first all-in on table 17. We are pre-flop. Sean is all-in, called by Nick. And Sean is dominated by Nick. Sean is showing ace-9, suited in hearts, playing against ace-king, which is loaded. Let's see the flop.
Not looking good here for
Ace-king
Paul
spades
Heffer.
against ace-9 hearts, and the flop is 7, king, and date. So
Really
Sean is in
looking
trouble
bad.
now, and Nick's in the lead. And the turn. It's a deuce, so Sean is running that. So no matter for the river card. And there is another king. So Nick's with the bot, and Sean is out. And
So
we go
we-
to the second table. There's also an in on a call.
We have lost at least one player. We're now on the bubble at
So we're down to
144.
140 players.
Hey, Nikki Petrangelo, what's your problem with bubbles? Why are you trying to burst them?
Nick was our TLB winner in Macau, wasn't he?
On this
Or
table, we're
Panama?
already on the river.
Wow.
Oh, this is on the river. Look at that, Telcher's still in.
There's the board. Maria Ho all in and at risk, called by Valdemir Novak.
It's a bunk triangle.
Uh-oh.
So we are on the river. Maria is all in and called by Waldemar. We are on the river. So showdown, please. Maria showing the nuts, showing the straight, and we have to see the cards for Waldemar. He has trips, checks, but here we have the double up. So now we are still 140 per players, and we start soon our hand-for-hand procedure.
Flop Broadway against middle set. Ouch.
So lots of people actually entered our competition thinking the question is why do we go hand for hand? That was not the question. The hand was why were we waiting for play to conclude before dealing the all-ins?
Would we have accepted Peter Blow's answer of to maintain the integrity of the game? Isn't that like a little general?
Yeah, because it says to, and to make sure they know exactly who the bubble player is. No, I think that's going more into, again, for the hand for hand. It's not specifically why we were waiting on that. It's very close.
So close. But anyway, you were second in.
So that competition is over. Meanwhile, we're just establishing the situation here. With 144 players remaining, Neil, I guess it's time to break a table, get players in their new seats before we continue, unpause the clock and go hand for hand.
Yeah, that's what they'll be doing right now, is breaking that table. And you always do a final double check here just to obviously make sure you have 144, but it's another reason why it's better to have payouts like this, is it's really easy. If there's an empty seat, we have a problem. And if there's not a seat for a player, we have a different problem. So while we wait, I'm curious, are you guys going to Sochi?
We will be covering the Sochi main event. A 5-day stream covering the main event from day 2 through to its conclusion.
Have they let Joe into Russia before? Has he?
I've never been to Russia.
That's for people who listen to the podcast. That's going to be a Tinder story. I have no idea what's going to happen.
I quit Tinder. By the way, I'm not drinking this week. I'm not Tindering. I'm not happening. I'm not bumbling.
Yeah, but that's this week. That's not Sochi, right? That's just here in Monaco.
Please just confirm.
I will probably not be Tindering during Sochi either.
I understand not drinking in Monaco. It's expensive.
It's a great place to take a break from drinking.
But all right, I'm just assuming that that's going to be a podcast worth listening to.
I can't promise that no trouble will be gotten into that week.
Looks like we've got the players in their seats. Looks like we're ready to continue here in Monte Carlo. Back down to the floor, and tournament director Thomas Lamache.
So just one moment, please.
Oh no, what's happened?
Thomas gave the thumbs up. We're all right.
That's good, yeah.
See?
I found the player.
We thought a player was missing. They've been located.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are now on the real bubble. Just to explain the procedure for hand for hand. So every table playing the same hand at the same time. And if there is an all-in on the call, so please play, there's no showdown, there's no dog, please just wait for our sign to continue the game. Also to explain the payout procedure for the hand for hand, if there are 2 players out in the same hand on different tables, they will split the prize. If the 2 players out on the same table, the higher stack is getting the higher price. So all the stuff, please always wait for my sign to deal the next hand. I wish you good luck for the bubble, and dealer, deal the next hand, please.
So here we go, hand for hand, as Vicky Corrin says on Twitter, proper bubble now, one off the money, and Vicky is risking a glass of wine.
Like I just tweeted myself, wine was a great call in San Remo.
Nobody's trying to win actually there.
That's true. That definitely helped her through that final table.
So here we go. We'll watch the action on the main stage at our feature table, and once these guys have finished playing, we'll wait for hands to conclude at every single table in the tournament room before we deal the next hand.
This part I at least like, because now there's no reason to tank. They're just literally where it's.
Yeah, but
it's gonna
sometimes they
go-
don't know that.
I know that's the scary part is if they don't actually know that there's no reason to tank, but there really should be no reason to tank here.
So now you would think it's a genuine decision if there's serious thinking time.
It's
Exactly.
Still, I mean, genuine decisions still take a little while on the bubble because it's important. Yes, there's no reason to stall.
Yes.
Quick update on the bounty bonus tournament. We are down to 15 players. I'm 4th in chips.
Wow, has it stopped being Zoom
Yeah,
yet?
yeah, we're at static tables.
Ace.
What a surprise. Patrick raised heads up in the small blind and took it.
That's short one.
Patrick Antonius, we think, still has the tournament chip lead with a stack of 427,000.
I have a question for you guys and for the people watching. This is something we recently sent out a survey asking a bunch of different questions. One of the curious ones is, what is the preferred, if you're playing full ring, like a normal poker tournament like we're doing here with the main, how many people is the perfect setup? Is it 8, 9, or 10?
8.
I mean, I know that of those choices, the people I know would say 8, but I don't have a preference.
And would you still say 8 if it was going to create alternates? Like, our question is basically comfort against entries kind of thing.
Are you talking about, if you're talking about championship events, Neil, it's very difficult for me to give an opinion.
Right.
Most of the tournaments that I play, and I'm sure Joe's in the same boat, would be something like the Mega Stacks.
Yeah.
Where every event I play, there's always alternates, so I'm kind of used to it. So if you say, if it was 8-handed, would it bother you if there were alternates? No, because I'm used to it. But if you said, well, if it's 9-handed, we don't have to worry about alternates.
That's a nice compromise.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of the question is, the people who've already given you money, like I'm assuming you're somebody who probably shows up on time or registers early and is there when the tournament starts.
Absolutely.
You're not coming in 3 levels late
I'm at the table the moment I'm allowed to sit down.
Yeah, same. I'm the fish that like everyone's like, oh, look at the guy who's sitting there early. I'm that guy.
Exactly. And if that person is, if you make it 8-handed, you're catering to those people, the people who paid up front, who showed up on time and who got there.
I'm a great believer that they should cater towards me.
Yeah, well, that's basically the conversation comes down to comfort versus entries, because you might end up not being able to maybe some people get turned away, or maybe the alternates get sat a little later, but the people who arrived on time or early and paid, they have a much more comfortable playing experience.
Of course. By the way, we're on to the next hand now, by the way. No significant action clearly on that last hand. I mean, talking about the kind of tournaments I play, Neil, they play 10-handed with alternates. So I would very happily take 9-handed with alternates, and I would be thrilled with 8-handed.
And what about if it impacts the prize pool? Like if people decide, oh, the last time we tried to go to, Casino X, 1,000 people showed up and had 600 alternates because they play 8-handed, and then the next time only 600 people show up, so you lose 400 people off your prize pool, because that's obviously another consideration.
Right. Smaller prize pool.
Potentially. Or maybe people start
the
showing up on
tournaments
time.
I'm used to playing are 10-handed and have alternates.
That's what I just said.
Yeah.
Big fold.
Good decision, man.
Patrick apparently is still getting hit in the head with the deck. It's like blackjack there.
I'm sure you'll see him for the Grand Prix or something. That's when everyone comes back, right?
Yeah.
Actually, two of the best live events I've ever played, both low buy-in events. One was at big venue in the UK, one was in Vegas one summer, were both 6-max events.
Yeah, 6-max is great. It's just a lot of players who, it's too short of a game for them. 8 seems to be, we've been 8 on EPT and PokerStars Championship for, I don't know, it's basically since season 1, I think.
Yeah.
And it seems to be the perfect kind of combination. You see enough hands, plays a little quicker, so there's more action.
Yeah, in London, he had a game in his house, actually. He invited some of the players. I couldn't go. Well, I wasn't playing with that.
Yeah, no, I think 8 is a great number where it can be accommodated, but I completely appreciate that there are going to be some venues where it's just not practical.
Yeah, that's, if we tried to do that in Barcelona, we'd have more people in the hallway than we did in the poker room.
Again, I know that it's a big challenge you guys face, and I'm not quite sure what the solution is, but how do you get more people to play Day 1A? The 2 days remain unbalanced.
There's been all kinds of ideas floated by people. The problem is, even if you look at something like what used to be the Estrellas main and is now the National Championship main, you could say, well, you know what, if you play Day 1A, it'll be rake-free. Well, the rake on that event is only 100, and there's 3 day ones. So even if the rake was free, it doesn't fade the cost of 2 nights of hotel in Barcelona. So it still is not an equitable equation for a player. So a number of, or one of the ideas that a lot of people have floated is giving more chips. But that really is, even the face that you're making right now.
How about one more chip?
You get 30,001 if you play day 1A. That really makes those of us who play competitively feel kind of all wiggly inside.
Yeah, and this is why I can't do Neil's job, because my attitude would be, I'm going to tell you which day you're playing, right? You want to play this tournament? You're playing day 1A.
Well, I mean, one of the only things that's been successful is turning tournaments into unlimited re-entry or single re-entry, because then the people who are willing to fire multiple times, they have to come early and play those days. But then to people who want to freeze out, that changes the entire focus of the tournament, and you might now actually be turning people off from playing the event at all.
It obviously came up earlier on in the day. Someone was asking about allowing re-entries across the different starting flights. I'm kind of with you, Neil. I'm still against it in championship main events. I think when you're talking about something like this, especially with so many qualifiers, close to 200 in this particular tournament, I don't agree with it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we have recently sent out a survey, and that question is in there specifically to try and get a vibe. I think it was sent out to 20,000 people who played.
Next 10, please.
Okay. Who've played, EPTs, and UK IPTs, and PokerStars championships and stuff. And I'm on record many times. I have moral objections to it. It's a championship level event, and me and Daniel and Patrick and all these, everybody should be equal. You don't have to beat Serena Williams twice to win the U.S. Open. You only have to beat her once. And so, however, the feedback is kind of 50-50 of the players that I've talked to as far as whether they want it in or don't want it in.
But the people who don't want it in would be far more upset if you put it in than the people who do want it in and you don't put it in.
Yeah, there is a pseudo compromise of saying it's a single re-entry to 1B, because then 1B is still a freeze out. And everybody who plays on 1A understands that they could potentially be sitting next to Patrick and he's playing slightly looser because he has every intention of firing the next day. It's not ideal. I mean, I'm the worst cheerleader for re-entry in the world because I hate it. But, there are a lot of people who really enjoy it. And it makes, look at what the Colossus has done, even what we do with the Cup, where we give them a re-entry to each of the 5 flights. It's a very effective way to build a monster prize pool for low buy-in events. Still doesn't get them all to play on 1A, though.
Maybe.
The danger here is they start playing day 1A and then they're playing day 1B as well.
Yeah, well, and then you get into the mess of, do you do best stack forward? Do you let him surrender? And I hate those.
Well, looks like we have an all-in here. This hand has gone to the river.
Who would be all in? Or is that just a really big bet? I'm sorry, am I misreading it?
Maybe they just took the big stacks out and they didn't put a triangle out.
Well, this is Nicolas Vidal with the decision. I think the player in seat 6 may actually have declared all in. They've just not presented him with the triangle. He's put his stacks forward. Yeah, confirmation that it's Tom Axel Bedell who has moved all in here. Decision on Nicolas Vidal, and he calls.
So this could be it. This could be the bubble.
I apologize, it was not an all-in, it was a bet and a call. That's why no triangle.
Who was it that said that, Neil? It's just a big bet?
It was bad intelligence, I'm afraid. Bad intelligence.
No, that's a good dealer. She kept the triangles right where they're supposed to be.
Correct. We just got misinformed. It happens. I've made a mistake or two in the last 5 minutes.
Oh, yes.
And we didn't show you what happened on the feature table, but I'm going to tell you that Patrick Raisin took it. Rinse and repeat that for a while.
He's got to be loving this situation.
We wait another 5 minutes.
Time to eat at least 100 bananas, Patrick.
It's one of those situations where people say, is there ever a situation where you would fold aces? And it's like, well, if I'm Patrick, I would fold aces here. Rather than put somebody out, if I'm chipping up 7,000 every hand.
Yeah, sure.
If there was a big thing, that, I mean, how much can you chip up on the bubble? This would probably be the only situation I could see.
Obviously, while you're taking ideas for changes to live events, Neil, here's a suggestion from Daniel. How about online day ones?
Online day ones are a very, very interesting discussion. Party just did them for the D2D event, and they had some success with them. I think it's difficult to an extent because if someone wins a trip to Barcelona and you play an online day one, and we'd probably have to play down to the money to bring them down. So if we play, even if we paid 15% or 20%, whatever it is, still 80 to 85% of the players, they're not coming to Barcelona. They don't actually get the Barcelona experience. You also have the additional caveat of who on PokerStars.com or .fr or wherever you're playing it on, who on PokerStars has $5,300 to put into an event. The super high rollers of the world. That's not the average roll for an online player. So I would imagine that Stevie and Ike and Justin and Bryn and Mike and all those guys would love it if I said, hey, I'm going to run an online day one with 100 qualifiers in it for $5,300. Do you guys want to play? And then ultimately, it's also not the same tournament we're playing. So it will certainly build bigger prize pools. You would certainly have to make it re-entry at that point in time because otherwise, like I said, everybody who busts online doesn't bother to come to the event. So it's definitely something that we've considered and looked at. But I think there's a number of kind of issues that have to be worked through to make it viable. But I do like the idea. It's interesting and could make for bigger fields, which is what the players always want: the bigger prize pool, bigger field.
So as is the case during hand-for-hand play, we wait for action to conclude at every single table before the order is given for the next hand to be dealt. We are at 144, and we are on the pure bubble. Next player out receives nothing. Everyone else is guaranteed at least 7,580 euros, which is the min cash here in Monte Carlo. 727 entered this main event, creating a prize pool of 3.5 million euros. Obviously, slight drop in numbers year on year, Neil, but I have to say, this has not felt like a quiet event. The tournament room has been busy every day. The cash game area has been insanely busy.
Yeah, there's a drop. I mean, the main event dropped by a chunk, but the festival, excuse me, not festival, the championship, championship itself is very close to in line with where it was last year. It's down, I think, by like 10-15% in that range. So, oh, here we go.
Yeah, Thomas standing at the table because we've got the last hand in action here. Seat 1 against seat 4. Not sure of the identity of either of these players right now. It's the guy in the cap with the beard.
Why does it look like Liv is sending secret messages to people? Oh no, she's she's just stealing Thomas's microphone.
I thought you had to press a button. If I didn't say something worse.
I expected this. That's why I didn't stop you.
Do you not hear that noise where there's a weird nothing going on?
Okay, attention the main event. Dealers next
Looks
hand,
like
please.
that hand has
Dealers the main
concluded.
event, please deal the next hand.
I really wish I could see the Twitch chat for what just went on with Thomas and Liv. I may have to scroll back and look later on.
Now, what were you in the middle of talking about there when we went to that hand? Oh, yes, the numbers here in Monte Carlo.
Yeah, the like I said, it's down like 10-12% or something so far through the first 5 days, which is a little bit, and it's relatively impressive for the event to an extent when you consider that last year Monaco was all by itself between Barcelona and Dublin. And this year you've got Macau and Panama and Sochi, and parties come in with some events. It's a very full spring leading into a scoop, which they've got that huge phase thing going on.
Yes, they sure do. 35 phase ones.
Yeah, and running underneath us. Normally they don't start until we finish here in Monaco.
Yeah, I played one of them last night.
How'd you do?
I'm gonna reveal that on the podcast.
All
this
right.
week. Sorry to tease you.
No, that's okay. So yeah, I think it's been really good. The super high roller was the same number as last year. The 2K that's going today, we put a 500K guarantee on it for the first time ever, and it blew through that guarantee in about 2 hours, I think. And it registers until tomorrow. So really strong in a number of areas. But certainly we want to build the main event back up, and we're going to be looking next year to to make some changes to bump that back up. I haven't been following the feature table. Did Patrick raise?
There has indeed been a raise from Patrick Antonius, and
okay.
Poor Salvatore Graziano is pained. He has 4 big blinds. He is in the big blind on this hand, deciding what to do.
How long's it been since we've had the bubble boy be at the feature table?
Well, it's 8,500 for an M, so he can basically he can spin around one full time if he really wanted to, even kind of 1.5. But
I mean, he's got to figure Patrick's range is uncapped,
I
right?
don't want to bust you. That's all I can say. I don't want to bust anyone on this table. But
Yeah, because he wants the bubble to keep going.
The way this table has been going, Patrick's range is any one card.
Right. He has a card. I do think he means that genuinely, though. Like, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I think he means, like, I like all you people. I think he's saying don't call, honestly, is what that sounds like to me.
I think so, yeah.
Or don't get it in is what I mean.
Yeah.
Either that, it could also be one of those things where he has like 9-3 off, and
Oh,
he
he
really
doesn't wanna bust you
he
with it,
doesn't
right.
want to put him out with 9-3 when a 3 spikes the river.
By the way, Joe, as Salvatore Graziano makes his decision for his tournament life, I notice that you've stopped playing.
I'm out.
You were 4th in chips.
Yes, and then I lost a gigantic race, ace-queen versus jacks, and then I ran ace-king into aces twice.
GG, sir.
Same guy both times, too.
Well, at least you made him work hard to claim your bounty.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this. Graziano's called.
14th place, by the way.
Defends. We get a queen 8-8 flop, and he moves all in.
Did he stop and go with 4 big blinds?
He did indeed, and Patrick.
I mean, he's got a call, right, with any 2 cards?
He's making 7,000 a hand. Would like I'm.
One way to play it.
Love a good stop and go.
Actually, I take that back. He's making 8,000 a
Let's
hand.
see how I could fold. 11 and 1. Let's see.
Getting 3-1 on your money near enough, Patrick.
Let's see.
Look at those puppy dog eyes.
He
How
already
can you
looks
knock this guy out? I
sad.
know. Please don't call me, sir. Please just let me have this one. I've been a real good boy.
That.
Clock.
Well, he certainly used up all 3 of his time bank chips at this point in time.
Any chance you're bluffing me?
He's not bluffing, but what is he gonna do?
Any chance of that?
Now, if he was bluffing, he'd have bet 9,000.
Still leave myself room to fold.
Yep. I think this is really a fun decision for Patrick because, like I said, he's made 8,000 a hand. Like what, 7 hands in a row now? 6 hands? 8? Like he's won every hand since we started going hand for hand, and he's pocketing 8,000 apiece.
There's no guarantee the bubble continues anyway, though.
True, but I mean, what did he raise to pre? 6,000, right? So he's in
I
for
don't wanna
6.
bust it.
If he folds, he picks up 8,000 on the next hand.
I don't know if he can have 9-10, 10 jam. Just do do that.
I don't think he can. I don't think he can have those hands.
Confirmation that the feature table is the last table in play. When this hand concludes, Thomas will give the order to deal the next hand.
You know what? Just
Wow.
Patrick lets it go.
The bubble continues.
The strange.
Let's see it.
Okay, attention, deal in the main event. Please
queen.
deal the next
I
hand.
don't know,
Next
more
hand in the main event, please.
The super strange short stack stop and go somehow works.
Okay. Welcome back to 2008.
Makes you wonder how far, like, if he thinks Patrick wants to continue to abuse the bubble, the stop and go is actually a beautiful move there.
True. I don't think he's thinking that.
I have no idea who he is. I'm not familiar with him.
I think he's got king queen, and he wants to see a flop, and he hits a queen, and he moves all.
That's true. I might be way overanalyzing it.
I'm the guy that will tell you how the majority of players are thinking.
This just in, Patrick raised to 6,000.
Bye-bye. You got so many M's now, bruh.
Oh, he's thinking again. What's he up to? He's up to 27K.
Time to make like an M and muck.
He's got 3.5 M now. That's like forever in M
So
world.
long.
Whoa!
That's a multitude of M.
The red triangle of death is presented to Salvatore Graziano as he shoved from the small blind, and Davide Katai in the big blind wants a count.
But you forgot about the big blind. I know I did.
Graziano's probably like, wait a minute, there's other people at the table?
It's not just me and Patrick.
Wow. Davide flats. Oh, Patrick let it go. Okay. We have one all-in and call then.
So we await the conclusion of hands at the other tables before this one is dealt out, before the whole cards are revealed. Salvatore Graziano got that very strange shove through on the last hand. Here is all-in has been called by Davide Katai, and he is at risk, and we are on the bubble.
Is he going to get in trouble for standing up? I don't want his hand to get killed.
No, he's right there.
Okay.
Now, if he went and started taking selfies in the audience, we might have to talk about it. Hashtag Bubble Boy Monaco, not, or whatever. Fairly certain we had to amend that rule recently. Can't quite remember why.
It's good for the game.
Fair enough.
Call it the good for the game rule.
Ironically, this would be an issue if Davide was still contemplating a call.
Yes, I agree.
Because he can't read his opponent, he can't see his opponent. I call that the Chris Moneymaker rule. Because he did it, I think he did it to you, Joe. We were filming something for the NAPT. And it was with a, what were they called? The bounties?
Yeah, the bounty turbos or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Bounty shootout.
Bounty shootouts. Yeah. He shoved and walked off the set and like went all the way, headed all the way out of the room. So now you have to stay so your opponent can stare you down.
That was at the Venetian, right?
Yeah, I think it was one of the very first
I
ones.
remember that.
It was not the shootout in Compton.
The one that we couldn't put our name on.
Still say we should have T-shirts made up.
I say we, but I don't even think I was really officially a part of any of that then. Was the big game going on at the time?
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess I was a part of the we.
I'm trying to figure out if he looks nervous or calm. Like, he looked very calm when Davide was contemplating the call, but he's kind of stood up and is pacing. I mean, you have to assume his I would assume his range is, like, very, very high here.
He's got to be nervous, regardless of his holding.
I'd be surprised if this isn't something very premium. Considering he pulled the stop and go with queen something. And that easily got him enough chips to make it through the bubble.
Post look. Uh-oh. Yeah.
So what's the situation here? Do we have
Double check, please. Yeah, I think Thomas.
any more all-ins? Is play concluded at every other table? Sure enough, it looks like everyone else has finished, and Thomas is going to be making his way to the main stage.
Gulp.
We're going to flip these cards over, and we're going to deal out the board. Salvatore Graziano at risk.
Thoroughly against Davide, right?
Chubbly with a real gaze going on down there.
Here he comes.
Okay, we have our all-in and a call on our feature table. Salvatore is all-in and got called by Davides. We are pre-flop, so let's see the flop, please. Showdown first.
There we go.
Oh, come on,
All-in
turn
player
one
showing
card at a
pocket
time.
queens. I'm playing 8, king, suited.
Wow. The sickest of all races,
flip
like love
for the
versus
bubble.
money.
The classicest race of them all on the bubble of the Monte Carlo main event.
Like food versus sex.
I just noticed, I've seen the classic race underway graphic before, but the classicest
This is the
race
classicest of
underway.
all races.
I like that graphic.
Everyone should just get their money back for this
And
race.
here comes the flop.
Graziano wants queens to hold,
Flop
and
is
there's an ace on the
ace
flop.
and a 4. Davide hits the ace. Tony is in trouble. He needs a queen to stay in the tournament. Turn. 7, so 2 outs left.
Needs a queen on the river.
And the river.
It's an
Say
8, he
no
bubbles.
Oh
We have
boy.
one play out. We are down to 140 for money. Congratulations to all the other players. We're in the money of our PokerStars Championship main event.
No, don't clap yet. Oh God.
143 happy people in the room, one very unhappy guy. Salvatore Graziano out in 144th place as the bubble bursts. He exits with nothing. Everyone else has locked up at least 7,580 euros. Davide Katai, the man who dealt the killing blow.
I hate it every time. Every time.
I can't believe that it was ace-king against queens on the bubble.
Such a brutal beat. I mean, I know it's a race, it goes 50-50 either way, but
I mean, I know what it feels like running my ace-king into aces in the bounty bust out, the bounty bonanza tournament. I mean, I really can understand how he feels bubbling.
Probably about 20 hands.
5K event.
to be fair, the 8K he was shooting for, like in your life, what you were going to win in the bounty, bust out, is the equivalent.
Absolutely.
Kind of
I won
matters.
How many hands we
$2.58.
played? This time it takes 3 to 7.
Proportionally the same.
So
And
now
the winner of the last spot, Davide will draw how many hands will be played.
going to find out how many more hands we'll play today.
Okay, so we're playing 4 hands on all the remaining tournament tables in the main event.
Well, this is going to be a mini post-bubble bust-out bonanza.
good
The
luck.
real bust-out
Dealer,
bonanza will
continue
be
deal.
tomorrow.
The last 4 hands in our main event.
Here you go, Neil
the
Johnson. 4 hands. How many players will we lose now that we're in the money?
We're at 143.
4 hands to play.
I'm going to guess 4
This one mine, yeah?
hands to play.
138. Or 135. I'm really torn. 138, 135. I'm going to say 138. I think people, even for the bust-out bonanza, I'd rather come back tomorrow and have a fresh start and see what I can do with my 12 bigs or my 8 bigs. You know, unless somebody has a pressing need to play. Actually, I changed that. It might impact because we have the 2K with a 500K guarantee. And you can late reg until it starts reg tomorrow at noon. So if I only got 6 bigs, I want to get them in now so I can get into the other tournament.
Daniel Negreanu tweets, in the money with a healthy stack of chips. This event is quite juicy. As for Victoria Curran Mitchell, she confirms on Twitter, in the money, 7,580 euros banked. Just like riding a bike this game. So as we only have a handful of hands to play, 3 of them in fact. Neil, do you want to stay with us till the end?
Sure, why not?
I know we normally kick you out after the bubbles burst, but I figure we're almost there. The day's almost done. And also, you need to make up for lost time.
Absolutely.
Vicky says, joking aside, I'm very pleased. I feel less of an idiot for making my whole family fit around my attempt to play poker again.
Wouldn't it be absolutely insane if she won this?
I think it would be amazing and awesome if she were to
Holy,
win.
that just crossed my mind.
2 EPTs and one of the first PSCs, so kind of 3
Three
EPTs.
titles, yeah.
When no one, I mean, they've come close, but no one has more than one.
Holy.
Mr. Mitchell's all in here.
Shoves for 23K, and he's been called in one spot.
I looked at only one card.
Good luck, man.
Well, this was the card. I need a deuce.
Sorry, James, it's the year of Romania.
And James Mitchell is dominated. King Deuce against Ace King.
It's Domination Nation, and that nation is Romania.
Yeah, it is. Good to play.
I've enjoyed taking part in the decade of Romania with you, Joe.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. This is the year of Romania. You heard it here first.
That's going to make it more awkward.
2% equity with 2 cards to come.
3 or a 5 for a sweat, maybe?
3.
Could be all over on the turn. It is all over on the turn. James Mitchell min cashes the main event. 7,580 euros.
Did you guys mention while I was off there, Danielle, it's her birthday today, the dealer at the table?
I did not know that. It had not been mentioned, so happy birthday, Daniela. And we hope she has a good day.
Have a good day.
She's nearly finished work. Just 2 more hands to deal on the main stage.
The last 2 hands.
Sure.
Okay.
I wish we had a tiny bit more time. The one question I wanted to ask you guys about was the Matt Savage is he's run a couple now. He's calling them the social experiment.
Yeah.
He's taken away their hoodies, their hats, their cell phones, basically all electronics. No sunglasses, no hats, no nothing. You got to sit and play poker.
I call it the Chuck McGill tournament, where you have to surrender all electronic devices in a bucket before you're allowed in the room.
That's funny.
I'm all for it.
I think it's an interesting idea. I suppose I could take a regular book. Like, it's been a while since I took a regular book to a poker game, but
if
I usually
people
read.
want to play it, fine. It sounds like a nightmare to me. I can't be away from my phone that long.
We've got an all in here again.
You know how like smokers go into the bathroom on an airplane and like try to light up?
All in, call 9.
That's what I do with my phone.
So Lamb all in and at risk. Could see another elimination at our feature table. Another bust out from the main event. It's a race. 6s against 8-7. 6s in the hand of Lamb, who's the player at risk.
It's gonna come 6 of hearts, 4 of
All
hearts.
in, call 9.
I'll take it. Yeah.
Patrick doing his best to set up a River Stars moment. Lamb's like genuinely into this. He's like, all right, let's go.
Well, this is not the classicest race. Who's ahead after this? I don't know.
Papazian, he's paired his 8.
Gonna need some helpers. He's gonna need some straighty flushy cards.
7 of spades.
Or 6, I guess, yeah.
Spade.
So you're saying there's a chance.
14 outs.
I think that's too many. I think that's one.
Too many out syndrome?
Thanks.
Isn't he adorable?
Oh. Boom.
That is one of them.
Was not too many.
So Lamb doubles up. We don't lose another player from the feature table. And just one hand left to play on the main stage. Meanwhile, all manner of shenanigans out in the field. We're hearing that Daniel Negreanu is up over 300K now. Daniel's going to end day 2 among the chip leaders. Unfortunately, Jason Mercier, also from Team Pro, is out. But Jason does lock up a min cash of 7,580 euros. So reminder that everyone who survives the day will bag and tag for day 3. We'll be kicking off our coverage of day 3 at noon, Central European summertime. We'll have another Scoop Spin and Go competition tomorrow, another free roll, another bounty bonus tournament. And we'll be following some of the big names and famous faces working their way further and further towards the final table. And of course, further and further up the money ladder.
7,500.
Do we still actually follow people who would kind of be a double champion? Like Davide
Yeah,
and
of course.
Patrick? And
Of course we do.
Well, you told
that's
us that
what I
they
mean.
still count, so yes, we do.
I do. I didn't know if you guys do. I absolutely pay attention
What
to
else are we going
to
to
that
talk
stuff.
about, Neil? Ranges?
Yeah, you're not drinking and no Tinder, so we're like,
Right?
we've lost
We're scraping the bottom of the
significant-
barrel here.
We haven't had a new James Bond rumor in a while, so I don't know what what movies James is going to see lately. It's all superhero sequels. You must just hate cinema at the moment.
As far as I'm concerned, this is the same bloomin' tour. It just changed its name and got bigger and included international stops outside of the Bahamas. So, to me, it's the same thing.
That's pretty much the way I treat it.
So a raise from Katai, 3-bet from Antonius, a 10-9-4 flop. Final hand that will be played on the main stage tonight. Now, obviously, we know of 2 eliminations so far, but I imagine there will have been more. Tournament staff have not updated the clock yet, but I guess we'll get that number overnight and find out how many are coming back for day 3.
It's one of those. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Continues flop for 25,000.
The other players at the table are like, "Come on, guys! Like, I want to go. Come on, it's over. Let's go."
Don't you know who I am?
I've done some, when I used to do card calling and stuff on those tables, you'd have to tell the other players, guys, please stay at the table in case it's a really big hand, because we're going to want to show it on TV, and we're not going to want to show you guys getting up and walking off set in the middle.
Especially when they walk in front of the cameras, or
Yep.
loiter in front of the cameras while putting on their jacket, adjusting their bag, putting their headphones back on,
Start moving their junk around in front of the camera.
pulling out some napkins and throwing them in the trash can, maybe texting their friends.
Hawking a loogie.
That's I think I might have like struck a sensitive subject. That was a way more detailed list than I expected from that intro.
I'm
And
just
it's
thinking
only-
about all the things I would do at the end of the day.
It's only a mild exaggeration from the stuff that's actually happened.
Come on, Davide. There we go.
There we go. So Patrick Antonius,
So one.
who may
last time
well
you
be
can
coming
show.
into day 3 as chip leader,
Huh?
wins the last hand of the night,
You
up
cannot see
over
it on the screen, no?
450,000.
Somebody's gonna tell you.
So one.
Oh, the last hand. Yeah. A key card.
Okay.
I had another club, man. I was rolling.
It's finished, right?
Yes. Put 200s in front of you, please.
So play has concluded
So
here
whatever doesn't match. Right?
at the
Like,
feature table. Meanwhile, Thomas Lamash is going to make another announcement.
So congratulations to all the players. You are in the money of our PokerStars Championship main event.
Okay. Thanks.
And that is the end of day 2.
Hold on, one more announcement. Apparently everyone's in the money.
Patrick Antonius finishes the day as a big stack, as does Daniel Negreanu. We'll resume the action at level 15 with the blinds at 2-4 tomorrow. If you want to read about today's